Oh boy. So this is like Get Valiant number 116, I believe, or something crazy like that.
116th episode of this Mammer Jammer.
That's crazy, man.
That is pretty crazy.
Um, yeah, never ceases to amaze me. But so we have had a couple of weeks off. There was a week of no books, and then there was a week where somebody decided he had something better to do.
Somebody had something better to do, okay? So, and just as a precaution, if you hate listening to me talk, this is like my segment where I talk a lot, unfortunately.
This is not the
So,
episode for you.
yeah. If you hate me, this is not your bag. So, yeah, I went to Emerald City last weekend, and for the most part, it was really good. But it didn't start out that way. Let me tell you the saddest day of my life ever, real quick, before we
Uh-oh.
get into the show. So, I'm I can't travel very well by myself, and so my wife normally books my vacations. So we booked my trip, hotel, put it on my debit on my Discover card. Hotel book or is booked. My flight's booked, and I get there. Had a great flight on Wednesday of last week. I get to my hotel room, and they're like, "We see your reservation. We don't see your card information." And I'm like, "Oh, no big deal," except for the fact that that Discover card broke on me like a month ago, so I couldn't use it. I didn't have it with me, and I tried to run my Amex, but my card is warped right where the chip is, and they wouldn't hand key it. So I didn't have a way to pay for my room when I got to
Oh,
Seattle, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like I was sweating it. I didn't have enough money on my debit to cover my room, so I the hotel was very nice, like a pity way, where they were like, "We'll let you pay for your room for tonight. You just have to figure it out tomorrow." And I got to my room and I was like, "Holy shit! Like I don't know what I'm gonna do because if none of my cards are working, I don't know how my trip's gonna go." In fact, I was even like so stressed over it that I started calling the airline to look for a flight home like the next day because I was like, if I don't have enough money, the whole
yeah.
plan was that I would pay for it when I checked out. In Seattle, it's a little bit different. You pay for everything up front. I had to pay for incidentals up front. two
Crazy.
hundred dollars, $200 for bottled water in my room and shit, which cuts
Wow.
into my budget huge.
Yeah.
So everything got taken care of. My wife is the best, and she was like, "Don't worry, just relax, get a good night's sleep. I'll take care of it in the morning." My wife took care of it in the morning. I did not get a good night's sleep. I woke up at 3 in the morning, stressed out of my mind. Like, what am I gonna do? Packed all my stuff up and walked around my room all night. So like, got to the show and everything changed. And the show was a lot of fun. Um, for me, like, I caught up with like Chris Amundsen and John Hoosier, and those dudes made it so I had a blast the whole weekend. And real quick, I do while it's on my mind, I want to give those two dudes a shout out for something. For one, like 2 years ago, I met John Hoosier at the show, and he was like, "Hey, do you have any advice for someone who wants to do a podcast?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, you just do it." 2 years later, he is a professional. He is way above like whatever I do. He
Oh
carries
yeah, he's
all
way
this
better than us.
equipment.
Way better than us.
He dude, he is like fucking like the horse in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, dude. It's got like all the like stuff on its back, like the person beating the coconuts. He carries so much camera equipment around and tripods and shit, and he has a great setup, man. And he did a lot of interviews, which he did great. So I just want to say, like, he's awesome. He is like fucking awesome at what he does. Secondly, Chris Amundsen, and for people who don't know, Chris Amundsen is like the moderator over at the Valiant Comic Fans page on Facebook. The dude might be the hardest working fan I've ever met because we hung out the first day, and all he did the first day was get other people like Life and Death of Toyo Harada variants and got them signed in CGC. Like, not even shit for himself, man. Like, he went above and beyond doing that. He was walking around the poster tube getting people posters signed for like Fan Art Friday winners. and doing all this shit like that. And I was just like, dude, it's like the first day of the convention. This is when you get exclusives. This is when you do your shopping. You do it the first day. He was like, I got to do for others. He's awesome. So just want to get that out there because I was really impressed with the both of them while I was like depressed the first day. But yeah, the first day there was the Valiant Comics panel, and like they talked a lot about like the projects that are coming up. I asked about Harbinger when we might see the Renegades again, and Robert Myers he made it sound like they're trying to figure it out right now, where they want to get that right pitch, they want to do it right. Maybe they look at like how Harbinger Renegades went, and they're like, well, we can't do that. There's a lot of stuff that's still up in the air. What the fuck's going on with the alpha? Like stuff like that. So I would imagine that they're trying to do something really awesome that the fans will like. Um, man, dude, me and Moose and Hoosier, we walked around that whole place, dude, just talking to people. Like it was pretty awesome. And normally we do giveaways after the show, but I didn't get anything extra from Valiant this year. In fact, the only extra stuff I have, I'm actually going to send to some dude in Minnesota who's
Sounds
too
like a
pathetic,
dick.
who's too pathetic to go anywhere in life. But you know what? Though I was talking to someone there, and they're like, "Oh, we're thinking about trying to do a show there, like maybe even just something small, like have a booth or something, like at a show in Minnesota. So maybe that'll happen."
Well, that would be cool.
Yeah, I got a bunch of interviews. I was talking to Eric about this already. We'll try and do a special episode that we'll push out to the podcast listeners, and I guess we could do like just like an audio only YouTube episode. But I mean, I don't know, just just subscribe to the podcast, and just get it that way.
Yeah,
But
do it.
it'll be
Just
one
do
where
that.
I put an interview out today of me and Vita, who Vita was great. I did an interview with Tim Seeley, who's going to be the upcoming writer on Bloodshot. We talked with who else did I talk to? Oh, I talked to Heather Antos a little bit about editing. It went pretty good on that. And then, like, last but not least, I did get a chance to talk with Hunter Goranson and Dinesh. You might have heard of those guys. They worked for a company called Valiant back in the day.
Yeah.
I got a big long interview with them. It's not really Valiant related, but I feel like if people have been fans for the last couple of years, they probably want to know what those guys are up to. So I talked a little bit about like the movie and then like what they're doing with Hive Mind. So I'll try and get that stuff ready in the next couple weeks. I know the individual episode, the individual interviews will drop on Outright Geekery. Just whenever I have the time to do it. I did one today, but there'll be a big episode at some point, so keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. As the guy who wasn't able to go, I appreciate that you were there, representing us and taking the opportunity to talk with, the people creating the comics that we, spend so much time, reading and talking about and trying to
Yeah,
get
you know
other
what's
people into.
crazy this time about that is like when I went to WonderCon last year, and at WonderCon I met Carl Bowlers and I met Mel Kylo, and I didn't really know what to think of either of those guys. I mean, they were kind of new at the time. They weren't real talkative. And then this year, Carl wasn't there at the show, but everybody at Valiant's booth was very talkative. They seemed really appreciative of the fact that like people take time out of their day to do podcasts, or to do YouTube shows. So like Mel was really nice about stuff. Um, you know, Emily Hecht and Julia Walchuk, they were running the booth. Robert Myers, all of them were just really nice, real receptive. So I felt like after this show, like I felt like it wasn't like some just like I didn't feel dumb for doing a podcast. I guess like I felt like it was a little bit appreciative of like what we do. So it's nice. Sometimes when you like meet people and you're like, oh yeah, we do a podcast based on your product. Like when I met Dinesh, he was like very nice about it. But when I talked to those guys last year, they were just like, okay, like we're still new. We're still trying to figure out what the hell's going on. But this year they're awesome.
Well, that's really cool. I'm really happy to hear that. Um, obviously we try to be as supportive as we possibly can of what's Valiant's doing and talking about everything that they're putting out and involved in. So it's cool to see some support
Oh,
back. And
I do want to say something. I saw something. I hope this is what Hoodoo TV is talking about. So, and this was actually like one of the best things. Since my trip got cut short by like $200, I didn't buy very much. In fact, I don't even know what my thinking was. I was so strapped on cash. I went and spent $55 on dinner one night, and that's a lot. But let me tell you, it was worth it. We all went out to like a Brazilian barbecue place. It was very awesome, and just being a nice guy, I was like, I'm just gonna help John do his interviews. Like, I didn't really do anything though to help him. Like, I just stood there. He'd be like, "Hey, get to the booth as fast as you can," and I'd be like, "Okay," and I would stand there and just be like, "I'm not doing anything." Like, I would listen to like an earbud, put an earbud in, and be like, "Okay, I can hear your audio. That's it." But he had entered into like the Fan Art Friday art contest on Valiant Comic Fans a while back,
Yeah,
and
with an
he had like
amazing piece.
that Divinity piece.
Yeah.
And he gave me that Divinity piece
What?
because he was like, "Oh, you helped me out." And I wanted to be like, "No, I didn't really help you out." Like I don't feel like I did anything, really. Like I just feel like standing there and making sure people don't step on your cords isn't like a big deal. But like he was really appreciative and he gave me his art and like holy shit, like I couldn't believe it, because like it's awesome. Also, if you look at it from behind, it looks like a nice abstract of the image on the front. Like the way the color bleeds onto the back of the page, like it looks pretty awesome. Um, so like those dudes, they took care of me, man. They were awesome. I'm not sure when I'm going to be heading back up to Seattle, just because I do try to go to Seattle every other year. So maybe like in like not next year, but the year after, I'll be back up there. But it just depends. Like I have so much fun up in Seattle. But yeah, that was Seattle Emerald City 2019.
Yeah, I'm super jealous of all you guys that got to go hang out. Um, it's cool that the panel went well. You got to ask questions, and yeah, I'm really excited to see how the rest of the con season goes because this kind of is kicking it all off.
Yeah, it definitely does. Like this upcoming weekend is C2E2, which I'd love to go back to at some point. Like maybe next year, that's somewhere I would go. Or WonderCon. WonderCon's awesome. Those are good comic book shows, or at least when I went to C2E2, it was a good comic book show. I don't know how it is now, but yeah, it was fun, man. And there's also just one more thing, real quick. There is video of the Valiant panel that John from Hoodoo TV shot. I
Yeah,
believe someone posted on our page. I think it's also posted on the Valiant Comic Fans page. So if you're like, I want to see what was talked about, go check it out, man. Like there's a lot of cool stuff. And man, like the one thing that kind of stunk about it was like after talking to people like all day, because I kind of did a lot of that while Chris was getting signatures. There were so many people that used to work for Valiant that I'm like, please come back. Like Justin Jordan. And Eric's a big Justin Jordan fan. I am too.
yes,
And
very much.
he couldn't have been more talkative about anything. Like he was just like chatting us up. And like James Asmus. I like James Asmus's Quantum and Woody run. I know
Absolutely,
you do
absolutely.
too. He kind of made it sound like he'd been talking to Valiant. So
Ooh,
who knows? That something might come from that. What else? Let's see. Oh, I talked to Elliot Ray Hall,
nice.
who Eric and I have both met. And Eric pointed out that me and him had never met, but we
Yeah.
both met him. He's gonna he's gonna end up finishing Bloodshot Rising Spirit. He's gonna do the writing on it for the last two issues. I don't believe anything's been announced on that yet. So that'll happen. I'm very excited to read that just because I haven't been a big fan of the run. So I do like Elliot's writing. I'm hoping that Elliot, closes it out in style. I'm trying to think what else. I don't know. That's probably really about it.
Yeah. Um, again, I appreciate the fact that you were able to go and kind of represent us. And thank you to both John and Moose for taking care of Josh, getting him
Yep.
through.
I'll tell you what, man. Like, if I wouldn't have had those guys, like, because here's the thing. normally I go to the shows I'm by myself. Like it's like
Sure.
my dad trip slash my press trip where I get to try to do like some like press for the podcast or do like a little article for Our Geekery. But normally I'm by myself, and I think I would have like probably like lost my mind that first day if I was by myself, just because like there's a lot going on in my head. But enough about that. Like we're good.
Right on.
Also, real quick, my flight home was probably the best flight I've ever been on in my life.
Well, good.
Yeah,
Good. I'm
I
glad
didn't
it
even
ended
I didn't
well.
even know we had taken off. I was so involved in listening to music and watching like the little TV that I was like, oh, we're already in the air. Like how crazy. And I hate
Perfect.
flying. So
Perfect. Um, yeah, I mean the that's really awesome. Like I said, I'm glad that show went well. Hopefully Valiant, made some new fans as well as talking to fans that have been around for a while. And hopefully the rest of the con season goes really well.
yeah,
Um, and as we kind of look to the future, um, let's talk about the solicits. Do you have
yeah,
those pulled up? I think that we have,
I
is it
do.
6 books?
So there's seven. There's seven monthly. There's seven books. One of them is not a monthly book. One of them is
Yeah, I
just.
didn't really count. I didn't really count the handbook.
But yeah, I love those kind of books, man. Like those are what
Sure.
I like. To me, like I'm a very big fan of like Who's Who and the official handbook of the Marvel Universe. I've got all that stuff. I've got collected editions of some of that stuff. Like that stuff's huge. So I always think like those are a great thing for fans who might not know a lot about what's going on. You and I, we know a lot about this stuff. People in the chat, the crispy bacons of the world, maybe they don't, So, crispy, if you're out there, that might be the book you need to learn a little bit more about what's going on in this part of the world. But as far as like the regular monthly stuff goes, so the first book that they're hyping up for that month is Psylords, and it sounds like from what I'm reading, the Psylords are set in the current day Valiant universe. Back in the day, the Psylords they took place in 4001. They're in the future. They're an offshoot of the hardcore. This does not sound like that at all. But we
Yeah,
don't know.
it sounds like there's some creatures stuck in a prison, and then the main characters of this story are breaking the Psylords out.
Yeah. One thing on the solicits is there is something listed as the cosmic variant cover. And I believe that's like the metal or glass or whatever kind of cover they've been doing as of lately to kind of get the orders up. The cosmic variant is like a special variant for this book, like that. At least that's how it sounded at the panel.
Hmm. Do we know what it is? Like, is it metal or
They haven't said yet. They
okay?
just said that it's something they're just waiting to see, like I guess like whatever kind of prototype they had, but they didn't have much to say about it.
Didn't they say that they're gonna do like a fuzzy cover for Punk Mambo?
Yeah, Punk Mambo, her hair will be fuzzy, I guess. I don't know what they call that though.
Flocked or something like that?
Yeah. You know what though? Like I'm okay with this stuff. Honestly, like
It
I don't get to collect any of the high end books.
right.
Those things are all like 1 in 250, 1 in 500. It sucks, because I'd love to have some stuff like that in my collection. But at the same time, like I think it's awesome. Like I don't know how much it really helps. You know, I, but it's cool. A fuzzy cover is kind of weird though.
I mean, if it helps the sales, cool. If somebody gets them and enjoys them, even better, you
You know what?
know?
I would have to have something like that just next to me at night. So I could just like nuzzle it to like a big fuzzy cover, help me get to
Cuddle your Punk Mambo comic.
sleep. Hopefully it's
Um,
really hard for this bed.
so yeah, I think Psylords looks like it's going to be cool. That starts in June. We're getting the second issue of Fallen World. I don't I don't know. I mean, all the covers look really cool. I like the kind of cover where you just see his arm and kind of the cape thing that he's wearing. I don't know.
Yeah. No, the one that's like the top image on the solicit page.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sweet, and they actually had ash cans of the first issue at the retailer breakfast at Emerald City. So that's cool if you're there.
Yeah. If only. But that, yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely awesome. I'm really excited because this is Dan Abnett hasn't written for Valiant. Definitely not for VEI, and I don't think ever previously either. So this is really cool to get another fresh voice. We've gotten really good stuff from people who've come into Valiant as new writers recently. So
So
definitely excited to see another new writer.
so the image that you pointed out, where you just kind of see like his red arm and the sword, kind of like a sideways with the cape, billowy cape in the wind. So that's Rags Morales. Like we talked like a month ago about how Rags Morales was coming back to Valiant, and that cover looks awesome. Um, of the three covers it shows, I think it's my favorite. I like the other one, the third one by Nick Varela, although his Rye kind of looks like Jason Momoa Aquaman a little bit, like in the face.
Oh, if you say so.
You can't pull it up. Come on.
No, I'm seeing it. I just
Oh, I think it
I'll
does. To me,
I,
it looks like him.
I'll whatever if you say so. No, but I'm excited to
Whatever.
see. I'm excited to see Rye coming back. I'm excited to see new stories in that world, and I'm excited to see a new writer. So I'm all in on that new book.
Yeah,
Um, we'll also be getting Life and Death of Toyo Harada 4. We get to talk about issue number 1 today, so that's really exciting.
very
Um,
exciting.
that one is going to have the regular art as all the issues do by Kafu, and then also Diego Yapur, I'm guessing is how you say that, is going to be doing art in that issue as well, just like we have Miko in this first issue doing some of the flashback scenes.
Yeah, and all the covers on this one are pretty cool. Miko's A cover is rad. The B cover's by Ken Lashley. It's pretty good. Um, but I don't. I mean, the cover C, I'm not like a huge fan of personally. Like, but it's cool and all. But like, I think the Miko cover is like the best one on it. Like personally.
Yeah, the Miko tends to be the guy that does pretty amazing work every single time.
Yeah, as I say,
Um,
if it's up between if he's represented or like Luis LaRosa or like Juan Jose Reap, like usually like no matter what, they're like my favorite cover.
yeah. So then Livewire 7, also get to talk about a Livewire book today. Really excited about how this book is going and definitely looking forward to the future issues. There's the Portella cover looks cool, but I think it's the I gotta figure out, is it Carrie Randolph or Becca Farrow? I can't figure out whose cover it is, but the cover with Livewire fighting off a bunch of people in gray, that looks really awesome.
It looks like Kenneth Rocafort. Like it looks like his art style.
That's what I was going to say because it reminds me. Oh,
They're
that's
like
the
they're out
A
of
cover.
order.
Derp. That's the A cover. It's Kenneth
Mhm.
Rockwell. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I would agree. Like his covers have all been awesome. I was just looking at all of his like Salvation covers not too long ago, and I thought, man, these all look so great. So I wish at some point they would just get him into doing some like interiors because he does a lot of covers. He's done a lot of covers like the last 2 years for Valiant.
Sure. Um, Punk Mambo 3. I don't I don't know, man. I don't know what this series is going to be. This is another new writer to the Valiant universe, so that's really cool. Punk Mambo has had a zero issue before, but never her own like actual numbered series. Um,
You haven't read the first issue?
no.
I was gonna say this. I think press have it available.
No, I know we have it. I
Oh,
just want to
okay.
wait.
Oh, you're just one of those purists.
No, well, I'm not a purist. I don't always wait. I just am waiting on this one.
Just
I just
torture
want
yourself.
I just want to read it when we can talk about it. That's all. I haven't
I
jumped into
know.
it.
It's so hard sometimes because like Life and Death and Turo Harada, we've had it forever. And it's just
Dude,
like
like
we
I
can't
I
talk
had
about it
the
until like now finally.
I had the black and white version for a long time and never read that because I wanted to wait to have it in color. And then we got it a while ago, and I read that one right away when we got it. Um, but yeah, this one I want to, because the thing that sucks about reading it is, there's that huge gap between reading the first one 2 months early and then having to wait 3 months to get the second issue. That blows. So that's part of why I haven't read Punk Mambo yet. I want to read that, as a monthly series and get to experience it that way as opposed to that big gap. But I
That's
do think it's interesting for her to have her first book, and I think it's cool to have Colin Bunn in the Valiant universe. So it'll be interesting to see what that book turns into.
yeah, and the Dan Brereton cover, um, it looks awesome. It's like the A cover. I think he's doing all the A covers. They look awesome. They're so rad. So then we have Bloodshot Rising Spirit 8. Now, the solicits show Kevin writing it, but I believe he's not. From what I was told, it's going to be Elliot Ray Hall. But it's the last issue of the run, and they're all like your standard like Bloodshot covers. There's another great like Felipe Massafera cover, and they've all been really good on this series.
Yeah, I don't know which one of the other two is which. I think the AJ Jatakumar one um, is the one where he's pointing the gun at you. That one's really cool. And then the other one, I'm guessing it's the Michael Walsh one. That looks like a has a really cool painted look, and it kind of reminds me of some of the old Batman stuff where Batman was like kind of above some scene because it's got Bloodshot above a scene with like tanks and war and stuff. Um, I don't know. Yeah, these are all badass covers. They're all really cool Bloodshot covers, so I'm a fan of them. Um, it does say if you look at the covers, if you actually expand them, they all say Elliot Rahal and Kevin Grevious, Rags Morales. So yeah, he is obviously going to be
Okay.
on these issues, which is cool. I mean, people haven't been a huge fan of this book. It hasn't done super well. But you know, when they made the decision to switch out the Quantum and Woody writer from Daniel Kibblesmith and Elliot took over, that ended up working out really well, and we got some amazing Quantum and Woody issues out of it that ended way too soon. I wish it would have gone longer. And so now, if we're going to wrap up the end of what hasn't been the most stellar Bloodshot run, if we're going to get to wrap it up with Elliot, who's actually written a Bloodshot story before in Bloodshot's Day Off. And I think
Yeah.
he's done some stuff in annuals as well, if I'm not mistaken. Now getting to write some of these issues, I think that's awesome. And I really hope that Valiant stops using Elliot as a writer to kind of like, oh, hey, we need somebody to finish this out, and gives him a proper good book because I think that he's shown that he can write some really awesome stuff. He's a very solid writer, and I'd love to see him get a monthly Valiant book, whether that
Yeah.
be A and A or fuck. There's so many characters.
I know. I was thinking about this. Like, he got the chance to do Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe. So he got his own little series where it was like it was going to be a mini, but it was kind of something that we were all excited about. But I was thinking, man, he needs to get like his own. Like he needs to get a chance at an ongoing, at least one ongoing,
Yeah,
where he gets to launch the book. Hopefully, he gets to end it. Give him hopefully 12. Hopefully it's more than 12 issues. In the perfect world, it would be for any Valiant book that launches, but just
yeah,
something, just so he gets a chance to do it. Because I mean, I like his writing a lot. Like he's such a great dude too. Like he's so funny, and I do think like a comedy book, like something like Archer and Armstrong, would might maybe be up his alley. But who knows? I mean, if you look at like how that book he did for Aftershock was Hot Lunch Special, that thing wasn't funny, but it was really good.
yeah.
So I
Right.
mean, he's probably a pretty versatile writer. But
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
saying
We've seen him
he
do.
should get something.
Yeah, we've seen him do Goofy, but I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be able to do. I mean, obviously he's going to be writing Bloodshot, and I'm I'm pretty confident it's going to turn out pretty awesome. So anyway,
Yeah.
the last thing that we'll be getting as far as a single issue in June is going to be the Valiant Universe Handbook, which is kind of, I was saying we're really getting 6 books with a seventh book that is kind of for new and incoming fans or potential fans. This is a good opportunity to see what the Valiant universe is, who the big major players are, what kinds of events are going on, and what you can expect when you read the books. And I think with the push coming for obviously the Bloodshot movie at the beginning of 2020, I think this is a good time to kind of get something like this out there on the shelves so that hopefully it's readily available by the time people start hearing more. That's another thing I was going to say earlier about the con season coming is we know that sometime during the con season this year, we're going to start seeing more information about the Bloodshot movie. It has to happen. It's a foregone
Yeah.
conclusion.
Yeah. I mean, probably like after San Diego. But
Sure.
one thing, speaking of Bloodshot, though, a couple of cool things in the solicits, just real quick, just so we can get through them. There's already a solicit for Ninja K's deluxe edition, which if you guys didn't read Ninja K, Eric and I gushed over that like every issue of that book. It's excellent. It's a great read. Great read. Also in here is the Britannia Deluxe Edition.
Oh,
And I'm a huge fan of Britannia. So pick this up too. It's all three minis. Who knows if we're gonna get more? And it almost kind of feels like if they're doing it this way, that's the end of Britannia. And like you know what I mean? Like there's no like volume to this deluxe edition put there, but that's all right, you know. And then the
it was a
final,
good run.
great run. I feel like Peter Milligan totally redeemed himself, you know, to many
100%.
Valiant fans with the work.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that's cool, and I this was something that Chris and I found out about, I think on Saturday, and then it came out in the solicits earlier this week. We had asked about classic material at the booth, and Robert Myers was like, "Yeah, Bloodshot. There's an omnibus on the way." And so it's in the solicitations. It actually is an advanced one for September's release. It's huge. It looks like very, very big. It's got a lot of material.
Over
First,
800 pages, over 850 pages, and it's going to be $100.
yeah, there is like I want to say there's like 35 issues in this thing. Um,
It says, okay, Bloodshot 0 to 24, Rise 0, Eternal Warrior 5 and 14 to 16, Secret Weapons 3, 9 to 10 and 13, and Hardcore 5. That's a lot of fucking issues.
yeah. All I'm gonna say is I would wish so hard it would just have like a chromium cover. It's gonna be that Barry Windsor Smith cover art, which is awesome already. Like, just do that. Come on, Valiant. Just fucking pony up the extra like whatever dollar get printed. Come on. But
um,
here's the cool thing about that though. To me, they're not giving up on the old material. Now we haven't seen a volume two for anything, but like at the same time, like they are still trying to be like, hey, we still want to get like some issue ones out or some volume ones out there. Now is definitely the time to do a Bloodshot volume because the movie does come out next year. Um, I just think that this is going to be like kind of a popular book, you know. And the thing is, too, for anybody out there who's like, how collectible are these older volumes when they're like they have that black border around the art page? I think all of these books might be out of press now or out of print. Like the
yeah.
omnibus, like maybe the Archer and Armstrong one isn't, but like Quantum Woody's is out of print. I think Exos is. I think Ninjax is. So you know what? Like no matter what anybody thinks of like the reproduction of the art, there are people outside of Valiant groups that buy this stuff up. Like I know there's an omnibus group on Facebook that I belong to, and people talk about this stuff all the time. Even the Valiant stuff, they buy these things. So buy this one, because this one's gonna be awesome. It's Bloodshot. It's the classic Bloodshot stuff, and who knows how much of it's gonna be in the movie, but good time to read up on that stuff, man, before the movie hits.
Yeah, I still haven't done it. This would be a good opportunity for me. I got to see if I can find a way
We
to
know
get it.
you're not reading the old stuff. Come on.
Come on. I let's at least pretend I might.
Have you ever read? Do you have Rise Zero?
I have it, yeah.
You do have one. Have you ever
Oh,
read
I've got
it?
a bunch of them. No, no.
Man, if there's any like one issue you ever read, it should be Rise Zero.
I read Eternal Warrior 4 because that's the true first appearance of Bloodshot.
Because he shows up in one panel on the last page.
The very last page, yeah.
Um, no, like as far as like anybody's opinions of the old material, I think Rise Zero is maybe the best single issue Valiant ever put out back in the day. It's really cool. I mean, it's just full of stuff that you knew that Valiant could probably never do, even if they would have kept publishing from that point until now, just because of how far everything was set in the future. But it's such an awesome issue. You should read it. It's rad, and that book is totally skyrocketing in value.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so like here's the thing: a couple months ago, you could probably pick them up for like under like $5, man. I used to buy a bunch of them cheap all the time. just because I always thought like it's a cool book, and if you can get them cheap, I would do it. But then one of those speculation sites marked it as like the first full appearance of Bloodshot because like for the cameo,
Hmm.
Valiant fans buy the cameo first appearance, but now like other collectors are getting involved because there's a movie coming out, and so now the value has shot up on Rise Zero. Like there are copies that sell for like $50 now, like
What?
raw. Yeah, not even like the glossy versus matte thing either. Like just like put a copy up on eBay, people like are paying ridiculous money for them now because they consider there's gonna be an argument in like 6 months where people are gonna be like, "What's the first appearance?" Again, it's gonna come back, and people are gonna be like, "Eternal Warrior 4," and people are gonna be like, "No, it's Rise Zero," and it's gonna be interesting what how all plays out.
I'm gonna be
Just buy
super
both.
bummed. I'm gonna be super bummed that I got an Eternal Warrior 4 9.8, and I
Don't have a Rise Zero 9.8.
yeah.
You might want to look and see if one of your copies will press up real nice or something.
Yeah. Oh
Because
man.
that's the thing. Like, I think even like at the end of last year, you probably could have come close to $100, maybe a little bit more to get a 9.8 Rise Zero, but not now.
Man.
Anyway, anyway, no big
So
deal.
we got a bunch of books to talk about.
Let's get to it.
So I don't have a whole lot to say when it comes to Exo Manowar 25. The art looks beautiful, absolutely beautiful, story wise, fun comic, but not much else going on, man. I mean, that's all I can say. Like, it was fun, but that's it. Like, there's no like, I feel like there isn't really a lot of substance to this story right now.
Yeah, I agree. Like in a way, like Livewire 4 reminds me of this a little bit, except for like I think there's a little bit more in the thought process there about what's going on. Whereas here it's just like a little bit of talking, a little bit of fighting. It was kind of a quick read. Like
Yeah,
it really
this
felt
was
like
a
a
really quick read.
really quick read, yeah. But it looks great.
It does.
Um, his RX girlfriend with the tail from space. I think she's gonna be like shacking up on Earth for the foreseeable future.
No, this
I
is
guess if she lives through the next issue, I don't
right,
know.
right.
But
I don't know. Ah, I don't even know, man. I'm like, it's a three. Art's beautiful, saves it. Otherwise,
I
I don't know if
I'd
I
go
would.
a little high. I gotta go a tiny bit higher, like arguably like a 3.5, probably a 3.25. Um, and it kind of stinks because I've felt like this is probably the lowest I've ranked an issue of XO in quite some time because I've kind of liked things since it's gotten back to Earth. I've liked
Yeah,
these adventures. I've liked the bounty hunters, but yeah, this issue just kind of it was just a little too quick, man. Like when you pay $4 for a book, you want. I mean, like for one thing about comics is that it's great when the art's good. It's great if the art's bad, but you love what you're reading. Okay, so here, like, yeah, the art's good, but like, I just felt like I got through this book in like 2 minutes, maybe. If even that. So I don't know.
the
I
art's
hope the
amazing
last issue
though. Like
is
that's
strong.
hmm?
I was just gonna say, I just hope the last issue is like really good, really strong stuff. Finish out on top, but
Yeah. No, I
this
mean
was
that's definitely the hope. And maybe this was a rushed issue because the intention is to make the last issue really bombastic. We'll see what happens, but I just didn't love it.
yeah.
Um,
I felt like after reading this that maybe I mean, without knowing what's going on in the next issue, I felt like they should have just had an oversized issue 25 and ended it because it's like there's just not enough here.
yeah. Um, so I don't even know where to go next. I haven't kept track good enough about what came out what week as far as the stuff we all have to talk about. But we also have like you mentioned, Livewire number 4.
Yeah. So
And
here, like, so Livewire was kind of like along the lines of the same thing where it's like it's just a big fight the whole time, kind of like the last
yeah,
issue was.
yes.
But Pan, who Pan is awesome. I have to remember that Pan is non-binary because Vita reminded me that Pan is non-binary.
I
In
actually
a nice
read
way.
the issue. I read the issue for a second time today, and I noticed that there's a moment when Pan is making a phone call and Livewire grabs the phone and says they'll have to call you back. And I noticed that like, oh, derp, Pan's pronoun is they. And
Yeah. I mean, she was really nice about it. She was really cool. We had a little bit of a
you mean
conversation about
you
it.
mean
But like,
you mean they?
oh, I might have done it again. Damn it. Anyway,
You're the
um,
worst.
I I hate talking about this so hard. Anyway, Pan gets Livewire to kind of understand what's going on in her head a little bit.
Yeah.
And the chip thing, we had talked about this before, where this power chip that is suppressing Livewire's ability, until like seconds before death is gonna something was gonna kick in with that, and it did. Now, in the sense that like EXO was just like a battle, and then like nothing really happened with it. I just felt like this was a really good read. It really helps kind of get Amanda on that path of redemption, where it's like she does kind of understand now what's going on a little more clear. Um, I mean, to me, I really liked it. I just think it's written very intelligent. Vita's doing awesome work on this book. It's not something that Vita just like threw together real quick. I think they put some great thought into this. I'm really digging the book.
This is I think I made this comparison before. I remember when Jodie Hauser first got on Faith and she did that 4 issue mini that felt like she was kind of getting a grasp on the character in that mini, and then everything after that has been peak Faith, right? Like Jodie Hauser is nailing it every single time, every page. I feel like Vita stepped into Livewire and hit that from the first page. And I will say Vita had an advantage there because you know, Jodie Hauser came in and had a new art team that, there had never been a Faith solo title. So she didn't have that advantage of already having an established feel for what a Faith book is. Whereas Vita's coming in and Secret Weapons was essentially a Livewire book, which had beautiful art in it. And now Vita's coming in and has this amazing benefit, the sheer luck or whatever, however the stars aligned, Vita gets to work with the team that made Secret Weapons, and I think that that is a huge advantage in their favor as far as making this book look and feel like it's exactly Livewire and it's not like getting a handle on Livewire. But I also think that the fact that all four of these issues so far have been very, very much driven by Livewire's deep emotional state and the turmoil she's been going through, as far as how the kids have reacted to what she did in Harbinger Wars 2. And I think that the fact that Vita has allowed Livewire to actually process it through Pan, I think that that's really cool, and it's worked out really, really well. And when I got to the end of this issue, I feel like that last super epic page of Livewire is so perfect. And I was just thinking, like, I'm really, really glad that they already announced this is going to be an ongoing and we know there are more issues. Because if this had been a 4 issue and it ended there, I would have been so pissed.
Well, Valiant originally had said it was going to be a mini series.
Right,
Remember, like they're
right.
like, "Oh, we're going to get this Livewire mini." We would all just be like, "More Vita."
Yeah,
We would be get more Vita on the book. Vita
yeah.
knows exactly what she's doing, knows the character in and out. We need more of it, and I'm glad. In fact, I want to say that it kind of got mentioned that there will be a 9 through 12 of this book at Emerald City. Not sure who the art team will be. Kano's up next. Kano, however it's pronounced. But I mean, the book has been phenomenal. So I'm glad Valiant saw what Vita was doing on this book and was like, we're gonna commit to more issues on it, because it would be that same thing like with Britannia or Divinity, like any of those kind of books where you get 4 issues and you're like, that's it. I need more. When do I get the next one? In a year? I can't wait a year. So
Yeah. I would
I'm glad.
love, even if we don't get beyond issue 12, if we're going to get a 12 issue Livewire run, I think that would be amazing. Now,
Yeah,
obviously, if it can continue after that and stay as strong a title as it is right now, awesome. But even if we only get the 12 or 14 issues or something like that, like some recent series, I would be really, really happy with that. Um, but yeah, so I don't know, man. I mean, for me, I don't think that this is a perfect book at this point. I think that while it didn't feel decompressed like EXO did, um, and it wasn't that like insanely fast read like EXO was. I still feel like this is still kind of the second issue that's been one big fight. And that's not my favorite thing. It's not terrible, and the ending of this issue is huge and really picks everything up. But I do feel like there's some parts of this that are lacking. So I can't give this book a five. But for me, this is a solid, very solid 4.5. The art is beautiful in this book. It's exactly what I mean. I'm totally fine with the fact that other artists are coming in, but I love that we got to start this with Raul Allen and Patricia Martine.
Same. I think that that team, just off of Secret Weapons, really helped kind of transition this book into something really special. Vita said that Secret Weapons played a big part in how and how she feels about Valiant overall. I mean, Vita said that was like the book that I think how Vita put it, like, I don't know. It's
In the
there's
interview.
stuff about it in the interview that I did, but it'll be kind of a bummer when Raul Allen and Patricia Martin go. But my score is also the same. It's 4.5. This is a good book.
Um, so as you're probably seeing in the live chat, Sean's saying that Vita's left a lot of unity by the wayside, and that Vita and Kent both are avoiding Ginger. Um, I feel
Well,
like
I don't know.
Vita,
We just
like,
had Ginger in that coalition arc, in Ninja K. But
yeah,
also,
that's true.
this story wouldn't work if you had a giant robot in it.
Right. But also, what I was going to say is that this very much is a continuation of Secret Weapons. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, Harbinger Wars two's events are pivotal in the storyline of this issue or this run so far. But I really feel like this comes out of Secret Weapons, especially, having the art team helps that. But that wasn't a book about worldwide threats and explosions and robots and aliens and ships and whatever. Like that was a story about people trying to live their lives and just be who they are without being hassled for it. And that's what Vita has continued. And I really like that approach. Like I would love a Unity book. I know we've talked about this a million times, Sean, and I think we're on the same page on this, that a Unity book would be absolutely amazing. And I would love to see it led by Livewire again, because I think that would be amazingly badass, especially the way her powers have evolved over the last couple of years. And I think that would be amazing, and I want to see that, but I don't think it needs to be in this Livewire book. I think this Livewire book needs to be more grounded and more focused on her intimate inner workings as a character and her emotions and everything, as opposed to what those team books would do. And I don't know. That's my feeling on it. I'm not saying that you're wrong, Sean. I'm just saying that I feel differently.
One thing I do think though that I agree with though, like I do think that Kent's run would benefit from having a little bit of ginger. I think at this point, especially with the fact that we've seen more of these giant ass robots
Yeah,
in this last
yeah,
storyline. You know,
100% agree.
yeah,
I'll give
and
you that.
X was totally outgunned by these like bounty hunter dudes. Like it would have been cool if like there would have been like something written into this where like like the last couple issues like hinted at Ginger showing up to kind of help out or deal like or even like interact with more of these robot alien ship things, but I think in that book it would work out more.
Yeah. Or William brought up the idea of an anthology. And Sean, I mean, I know mentioned that a long time ago, and I'm a huge advocate for that idea.
Yeah. I remember like a long time ago, I remember like that comment got made on Valiant Comic Fans, and it seemed like the entire page was just like, yes,
It
great
just
idea.
exploded.
And then Ness showed up and was like, would never work. They don't sell. I was just like, oh, what? It has
Why
to
did
sell.
reality have to poo-poo on everything?
But who knows?
Uh,
I mean, who knows, man?
uh, uh, Renegades in Hiding
Your
in
guess is
Ginger.
good as
I don't
ours on that
know.
one,
I
Sean.
don't know
Because
what
I
you're
mean,
talking
like,
about, Sean.
how
I
are
want to
those
move
characters?
on though. I want to move on. I
Okay.
got two amazing things that we get to talk about that I'm really excited for. Let's talk about Incursion number two.
Oh
Um,
yes.
that first issue made me love Imperatrix Virago as a villain, and this issue is exactly the same. She is so badass at the end of this issue, and I love like when Galad is written correctly at like he can be written the way Venditti did, which was this badass warrior fighting for the earth. That was really cool. But right now he's being written really, really well as this protector and father figure. And I think that this is a very, very good way to use him. I love that Dr. Mirage is kind of casually showing up. Like when characters can casually show up in stories like this, it makes the universe feel smaller. And Galad shows up on her door, just like, hey, I need help. And she's like, oh, I know you came here for this reason. He's like, no, I came here because you're close. Now do what I need you to do and shut the fuck up. And I just this is I know Andy Diggle and Alex Packnell both worked on this. As far as which who did what, I don't know, division of duties, but I do know that this is a really, really good story so far. And the next issue is just going to be all out. I mean, Galad is now talking to Scintilla or whatever her name is. And yeah, I can't wait to see what's coming. I think that this is going to be really awesome. And I hope that it leads to more Imperatrix Virago in the future.
Man, there's so much I want to say about like the next issue because they showed art from the next issue at Emerald City, and there's such a like it's either a one page like splash or it's a two-page splash that's so fucking epic. Okay. But we can't talk about it. But I want to talk about one thing that is maybe my favorite thing out of this entire issue. It's not even like an action-packed thing, but it's the fact that Tama's gigantic demon buddy from Rapture shows up.
Yeah.
Holy fucking shit! I was so excited about this. When I saw this page, I was just like when even though like first thing Glad does is like try to kill it, you
Yeah, of
know.
course.
Oh, and her name's Amy. You know,
Yeah,
Amy, the giant demon that Tama's friends with. I was so stoked on this because like the thing is like it's such a Tama thing. I don't. I mean, if you know what I mean, like she makes friends with these little like demons and
that's
devils
what
and
was
stuff.
so great about Rapture, right? That was the
Yeah.
best thing about Rapture.
So like when we saw, like I remember just thinking like those moments in Rapture were so awesome because it really fleshed out Tama. You know, like it just showed that she had like a really like a good heart. You know, and it's cool to see that like a creature from the dead side isn't necessarily like some giant evil thing too. It kind of cares for like Tama explained how to like fix what was wrong with her. So awesome stuff. Doug Braithwaite's pencils are awesome in this.
Yeah.
um,
I think he's at his best right now. Honestly, like I think this is probably the most I've liked. I've never hated his art, but I've always thought that there were little things about it that I wasn't the biggest fan of. And I absolutely think that this is his best work right now that I've seen. I'm really, really loving his work on this book. Oh, dude, I totally agree that it was awesome that Amy showed up, but then the little quest that she sends Galad on when she's like, okay, you're gonna have to go through here, then you're gonna have to do that thing, and you have to ride some fucking giant worm thing, and like, I love the part where she's like, oh, you're gonna have to go through these, wastelands of eternal battle, and it's gonna be so horrible. Oh no, never mind. You're gonna be fine in there. And then you just like get in, and I'm sure you can do that, which he does no problem. Like I don't know, I loved the way that that kind of all flowed, and the art for it was really fun. I just feel like what this book is doing really well is the art is super solid and consistent. Again, like we said before, very, very good. And then also like there's this really, really heavy emotion to the book in the fact that, Tama is sick, she could die, the whole world is in danger, that it's a really serious thing. Galad is on this mission of, having to protect Tama in the world. And, the stakes are super high. And we've got this crazy badass villain, but at the same time, we're getting this kind of lightheartedness. We're getting some fun moments, and I feel like that it just makes it a really nice, well-rounded story. And I cannot wait for the next issue.
Yeah, and like one thing I think that's awesome about this book, I don't know who does more of the writing, whether it's Andy Diggle or Alex Packneedle, but there's such a like emotional toll where you're like, oh, what's going on? How can Galad do all this? And oh, is Tama gonna be okay? And then at the same time, the way this book ends is like the forces of Imperatrix Farajo invade Earth, So
Yeah,
like there's a lot going on here, and it's structured in a way where it's not like too heavy on one side or not enough on the other. Like it's really well done, Like this is just like a perfect issue, pretty much.
yeah. I'm going to go with a 4.75 on this. I'm having so much fun with this book, and honestly, like this is definitely up there as one of my very favorite books on the stands right now. I think that yeah, I mean, this is the probably the book that I'm the most excited about. Um, right up there with the book we'll talk about next.
I'm gonna go a 5 on this.
Nice.
I just like it so much, and right now I've been like on a big Galad kick. Turnerware is like my current jam, so it's good
Sure.
seeing him front and center in a book. It's cool seeing him in the Dead Side, but like in a better version of the Dead Side than I've seen him in like in the last couple of years. And the villain's really captivating. I hope. I mean, like I know that like I get the feeling that the villain's gonna end up getting killed or something, but I'm hoping
Yeah.
this is one of those things like Master Dark, where it's like Imperatrix Viraja will find a way to come back.
Yeah.
So this is a great book, and if people aren't reading it, you're fucking fooling yourself, man. You need to be reading it.
Yeah, definitely a good book. And so then the last thing to talk about, Life and Death of Toyo Harada #1 finally came out. There was a weird error with the manufacturer, so it didn't get distributed on time. Some of
Well,
the
the regular covers didn't get distributed.
right,
So
right, some of
if
the
you had
like
a
store
variant or a
variants.
shop variant
Yeah,
or a convention variant, those were out. So you could have read your glass variant before you could have
yeah,
the A cover if you were one of those people.
right. One of those weirdos that buys an A cover. But yeah, so it did release. It came out. And honestly, man, like I read this for a second time today, and I don't read books for twice a lot. I read Livewire #4 again, and I read this one again. And oh, actually, I read all three of those today. I just didn't read XO again because I didn't feel I needed to. But
You're not good.
but I read them, and I really think that we talked about how EXO was just such a fast read, and Livewire was maybe a little bit faster than I would have liked it to be, but not really bad. Incursion, I felt, was perfectly paced. This book was so dense and heavy, but it didn't feel overloaded. So I think that that's something that Joshua Dysart does really well. When we talked to him about Goodnight Paradise, that was a really heavy story as well. And this again, I mean, it's super heavy. But yeah, like I said, it's not overdone. It doesn't feel like you're being overwhelmed by the story. There's even Toyo finds a nice quiet moment after they, get the space elevator into orbit or whatever, and he's like, let's just hang out here for a second with Sunlight on Snow. So there's light moments in here, but for the most part, I mean, it's such a brutal, heavy book, um, and it's crazy to see these characters come back. We haven't seen LV99 or Sunlight on Snow or Stronghold or Grave Dog, any of these characters for so long. It's just really awesome to have this book coming out.
I agree. I love like where he's going with this too because it almost seems like for all the power that Toyo Harada has, things aren't quite going his way, which I think is a great take on this. And even like his little imperium of monsters that he's got, they're not all on his side really either. Like they're
Right.
not, like they're just monsters. Like they're just bad people, and they've got ulterior motives, that aren't necessarily like to do what's best for Toyo. Um, and like in a way, like even though like we've read the stories where like by any means necessary they're going to do what they need to do, you know. Like I almost felt really bad for Stronghold, being that he just wants to like have a moment, you know, with Harada, and he can't even have that, and he's just kind of mocked for it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think the writing is just perfect on this. In fact, here's how perfect the writing is on this. Like, I mean, like you can tell that this book was started a long time ago, as Morris Kozel still runs Project Rising Spirit. But I think
Right.
that's even okay. Like to me, like it just means that you don't necessarily have to set the story right this minute. And even Josh was like, I didn't catch it. You know, like I know when I started writing this, he was, and then somebody was like, wait a minute, hold on, he's dead. But even with that, there's this book is like still like awesome. And
Oh
that's
yeah.
only such a tiny thing. It's such a tiny thing that doesn't even matter, you
To
know?
me, like the way that I was looking at it, like, okay, half of me doesn't even care about it, and the half of me that does care about it, I'm able to easily justify it just because I'm feeling like this is coming right after Imperium. So to me, like this
Yeah.
makes sense to be set in a timeline around Imperium. Um,
Yeah.
and I don't know, man. I mean, I just really like this issue. The art is so perfect. Like Grave Dog looks so badass in that opening sequence when he was like flying and then he blew up a jet or whatever and like that whole sequence when he's cycling through his powers and stuff. Like we don't get hardcore a lot. And he's this like, crazy renegade hardcore and he's so fucking badass. you know,
Yeah. You know,
just I was really excited. He looked really good. Cafu's art is amazing. Miko's art is amazing in this. Uh, we've been far too long without Josh Dyson in the Valiant universe, and I really, really hope that this isn't his last time playing in this sandbox.
well, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it probably is, you know, because it sounded
I
like you
know.
really want to get back into like doing like you want to go like the creator owned route, which I don't blame him. Like this is the era to do it, you know.
Yeah,
But like it's kind of weird too, like reading this book and being like when Imperium was happening, and I should pull out Imperium and reread it because like it's good. But I was like, there were times so often when I'd be like, oh, I just don't like like LV-99. Like sometimes I would just be like, I hope he gets killed off, you know, or I'd be like, Angela's just too weird, you know. But here it's just like I think like it's taken 3 years to get to this, and I feel like the characters are just written, even though they're so bad, they're such bad. I mean, like bad character, like they're evil monsters, you know, not like they're just bad characters, not like that, no, but like you know that they're bad, and it's like I just think they're crafted perfectly. Like they're given their moments. They all get their little moments in this little like brouhaha that's going on at the space elevator, you know, and even like I mean, all that stuff is fucking interesting too. You know, like how Harada's trying to get that vine tech that's basically circling the Earth, you know, to like give to people who could use it, you know, just to help them out. Like, I mean, there's a lot of noble intentions here, you know, and Harada is just so like he's just so complex, man. Like he really comes off like even more so than any of the other books. I think like this is like really like the most like you just kind of get a little just a little bit more of an understanding of him, you know, like
yeah,
and you get a little bit of a flashback of him as a kid. I would imagine there's a little bit more of that as the series goes through. But and the art's perfect. I mean, everything about this book. It's weird too because like to me, like I look at Incursion and I'm like, it's a 5. Okay, I just gave it a 5 because I loved it so much. I read it and I was like, this book's perfect. This is exactly what I want to read. Then it's almost unfair to be like The Life and Death of Toyo Harada 1 is a 5 because they're two vastly different books. And it's almost like, man, if I put like Incursion up against like anything else, like it blows it out of the water to me. But then like even still, you know, like it's almost cheap to be like, this is a 5 also. It's just really good. But both these books were just awesome. I mean, like, but we're talking Harada, so like, you know, I mean, like, honestly, I'd love to hear someone tell me like why they don't like this. Like that's the discussion I want to have. Because think about it, man. This is what we've all been waiting for as a fandom, like a Valiant fandom. Whether you're like on Valiant comic fans, whether you're on Valiant fans, wherever you're at, you know, like there's been so many of us who've been like, we want more of Josh Dysart writing these characters. Like this is the swan song. Who are the people that don't like this? Like that's what I want to know. Not that I want to like mock them or anything like that. I don't want to do anything like that at all. I just want to have that conversation and be like, okay, I want to know like why you wouldn't dig this. I'm sure
I
there are people out
don't I don't want to have that conversation because I know I would just get really frustrated. Um,
there.
so to me, like, okay, this is the way that I look at this.
Just a 6
Incursion,
out of 5, like the first issue of the Analog Man to you.
yeah, not quite. To me, Incursion is like the best version of a really badass summer blockbuster. It's got heavy emotion, it's got real relationships, it's got deep character, but it's also fun and bombastic and adventurous and all this awesome shit. And that's really cool, and Incursion is good at being that. Then I would say that Life and Death of Toyo Harada is like this is an art film, you know what I mean? Like
Oh
if we're
yeah.
talking in terms of movie, like this is not, your big budget studio backed project. This is, someone lovingly crafting this and turning it into something deep and meaningful. And I just think that while Incursion has its place and is awesome, and I gave it a 4.75, I will give this one a 5. This
Yeah.
to me is it's not to say that the format or the different approach that Life and Death of Toyo Harada has is inherently better than the way Incursion is doing things. Incursion's amazing. Again, perfect, almost perfect for what it is. But I would say that just like that's basically the best version of what it can be, Life and Death of Toyo Harada is giving us the best version of what this kind of like intense socially conscious, character driven comic can be. And the art is so fantastic that it still feels like a really high budget movie because we're seeing such amazing visuals. But yeah, I mean, as far as the story goes, it's really, really deep. It's I don't know, man. We have the second issue and I haven't read it yet actually because I wanted to be able to talk about this first issue without thinking about stuff in the second issue at the same time. So, yeah, I mean, I've really enjoyed this issue. Like I said, this is a 5 for me. Art,
Yeah.
writing.
I've read the second issue. I can't wait to talk about that one too at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure it's good. I'm
And
sure
if
it's good.
Valiant will send me the rest of those issues, I'd love that too.
Yeah. You're trying to get him to take on the TKO model.
Hey man, they should do that a little bit. Just give me all the issues at once, man. I'm ready. But but yeah, great stuff. I mean, like I just feel like this is the. I mean, if there's one book that like Valiant fans should be reading, and I know that like not every book is marketed for every fan. We've had this discussion, but like this is that book that we should all be reading.
Yeah, and I
This is
especially think that like this is one of those books that we haven't gotten a lot of the books in the last year, maybe two, that have been super pivotal to the universe as a whole. But I think that this book has some real potential to matter to the whole universe. I mean, Toyo is such an important character, and I think a lot of times he has been avoided by other writers because it was obvious that there was still more for Josh Dysart to do with him. And I'm hoping that after this wraps up, we get the opportunity to see him become more involved in the universe. And whatever happens in this story is going to be extremely important for how that goes.
well, and think about this: like, how often does someone get to take their vision to the end at Valiant? Because a lot of times these books get canceled at 14
Yeah.
issues or 16 issues. So this is like the third act. This is the end, for what Josh has been doing with the character. So I just think like, man, like how this is awesome. Like, because I feel like a lot of times, small publishers will be like, what you did before it didn't sell. We can't take the chance again. And Valiant's like, hey, we know that maybe these books didn't sell quite that well, but people love them. People are really passionate about them. Maybe there's things that we don't see, like digital sales or like trade paperback sales or deluxe edition sales. So there's maybe a lot of factors that go into this that we don't see. And then also it's Josh. Josh is doing very intelligent work.
Yeah.
Like in Harbinger and Imperium and even this, they just are at a little bit different level. So I'm glad that Valiant is like, hey, do it. Let's get it done. But I'm glad that we get to read it. So yeah, 5.
So the last thing I want to say about this book is the most bittersweet thing about it to me is that if you think about it, Josh Dysart was one of the guys that launched the current Valiant universe back in 2012 with Harbinger. There were four books that launched the universe with Harbinger, Bloodshot, Exo Manowar, Archer, and Armstrong. That was the Valiant universe at the time, and obviously we've gotten an enormous amount of story since then. But when Harbinger started, all the way through what is now happening in Life and Death of Toya Harada has been one gigantic story that Josh Dysart has told that has had an enormous hand in shaping what the Valiant universe was and has become over the years. And obviously, that also was, a big part of Dinesh's involvement as well. He had a hand in all of that. So I feel like, now that we're getting the end of this, you know, massive story from Josh Dysart, I think that this is not only an end of an era for him, it's an end of an era for Toyo, for Imperium, for Harbinger, and for what Valiant started out as. It's like um the caterpillar into the moth and or butterfly. We're kind of seeing the final remnants of the chrysalis slough off, and the new version of Valiant is appearing before us as we move forward. But I don't know. Like I said, it's kind of bittersweet. It's nice to see this all kind of wrapped up. Like you said, how often do people really get to finish something like this? But yeah, I mean, seeing it really come to an end, with Dinesh leaving, Warren leaving, and all these other important people, Hunter and so on and so forth. I don't want to try to name everybody because I couldn't, but so we
Please
lost
name
so many.
every single person that left. Okay.
Yeah. No, we lost so many important people that had a huge hand in it. And but the great thing is we have amazing new people like Heather, like Carl, like Mel, like Emily, like all the new writers that we're getting in and new artists. So I don't know. Again, we're seeing an era end. Fortunately, we have a bright new era that's coming. We're getting a new Exo Manowar book later this year. We're getting a new Bloodshot book later this year. We're getting new writers with Punk Mambo and um, the other new book that just started, Forgotten Queen, and whatever the fuck else I can't remember, Fallen World. Yeah, there's a lot of new stuff coming. So I don't know, man. It seems like a pretty fucking good time to be a Valiant fan right now, actually.
Hell yeah. Dude, later this year is going to be like a good time to be a Valiant fan. When that first trailer
Yeah.
dropped for Bloodshot, hopefully we're all just like
Oh,
getting bricks, man.
oh, cannot wait. Cannot wait. But I want to say thanks to everybody. I know Hoosier's been hanging out with us. We got DBB, I think that's David,
William,
William Pace,
Chris Bacon,
Sean, Crispy Bacon. Always a pleasure to have Sean
Moose,
hanging out with us. Like I said, William and everybody. Moose.
DB.
Yeah, I think that's David. Yeah, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. Um, like I said before, we took a couple weeks off with no books, and then Josh being at ECCC.
Something.
It's one of those. Um, but either way, I'm glad to be back with this new episode and have some awesome books to talk about. Usually, I try to have pulled up what's coming out next week so we can kind of know what we're looking forward to, but I don't even know. I didn't even pull it up.
I
That'd be a
think
surprise.
next week is Forgotten Queen, #2.
Sick. And wouldn't it be Bloodshot 5 too?
That I don't know. Um, maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I didn't see it, but I think next week is Forgotten Queen.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Either way, Forgotten Queen #1 was awesome. Another new writer, Teeny Howard, and really, really looking forward to this next issue for that. I think that's going to be really fun. And I think it is Bloodshot coming out, which again, not everybody's loving, but it's a fucking Bloodshot book, man. I'm going to be happy. uh, but yeah, thanks again, everybody, for hanging out with us. Hopefully, we'll see you next week on episode 117. But signing off, I'm Eric Baumgard.
And I am Josh Rathbun.
I hope that you all stay valiant and keep it real.
Word.